All right, YouTube. It's another episode of Zach's Legal Lessons, episode number 2. And episode number 2 is going to discuss the issue surrounding perjury. Well, in actually the law regarding perjury, which would be committed in the absolute worst way possible. So, in this episode of Zach's Legal Lessons today, I wanted to discuss, the law regarding perjury in a capital case leading to wrongful execution. Now, this is a law that has been around for hundreds of years, as the death penalty has been around in almost every jurisdiction and civilization for the last 100 years or whatever. So, with regards to that, I've done a little studying, a little research on this issue about perjury causing execution of an innocent person, otherwise known as murder by perjury. Murder by perjury is basically when you procure and convict an innocent person of a capital crime punishable by death that they did not commit, and then they're therefore executed as a result. This isn't like some kind of accident. This isn't like some type of thing where it's like, oh, this was just simply an accident or whatever. No, this is like a deliberate act of murder. And basically, this is an act of murder, except in this instance, the weapon is not a gun or a knife. The weapon in this case is the lie, the falsehood of being convicted of a capital crime that you therefore did not commit, leading to you being executed. Now, in most jurisdictions, this is a crime punishable by death. Obviously, I think that would be, in most jurisdictions that retain the death penalty, including in the U.S. and worldwide. I don't think it comes to a surprise to most people that perjury causing wrongful execution would in itself be punishable by execution or imprisonment for life without parole. So, and then in some countries, you can be given the death penalty if you perjure yourself in a capital case that causes someone to be sentenced to death, even if they are not executed. So you could be executed for perjury leading to a death sentence. So, with all that being said, what are my thoughts on that law, on perjury causing execution of an innocent person, and whether or not I think it should be punishable by death? The answer is yes, because in terms of how I view as far as the death penalty goes, now, I'm for it only in the most extreme circumstances, like mass murder, serial rape, and whatnot, and only in instances where it is a slam dunk case and there is evidence beyond any reasonable doubt that the person did it. Knowing that the person did it, there's no hope for rehabilitation, and there's no remorse, there's no nothing. So, in a situation like this, yes, I do think it should be punishable by death, because this is the classic example of an eye for an eye. But in general, perjury as a crime should be punished very seriously. Perjury in itself, even if it doesn't result in someone getting, put to death or incarcerated for a crime they didn't commit, that's why perjury should be punished as severely as it should be, or as it is in most jurisdictions, because perjury is a crime that could potentially lead to miscarriages of justice and a lack of faith in the justice system. It creates a whole host of problems, and it affects everybody. This is a crime that could potentially have devastating consequences for innocent people and their families, and just the justice system in general, and the rule of law in general. So, perjury in general, or subordination of perjury, which I'm going to get to here in just a second, should be punished as a very serious crime. And I honestly think, what should the penalty for perjury be? Well, it depends. I'd say a 5 to 10 year sentence wouldn't be. If you go for more, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Now, I think if you cause an innocent person to be put in prison for a crime they didn't commit, you get the same penalty. So with the double-edged sword about perjury causing execution of an innocent person, if you cause an innocent person to be convicted, you need to get you deserve the same penalty that the innocent person got. Which, it's same thing with subordination of perjury. Subordination of perjury is when you procure or induce someone to lie for you in a court of law. Perjury doesn't necessarily have to just be in a court of law. It could be in any kind of tribunal. It could be even like when you go to the DMV and you make a false statement. It's any kind of proceeding, any proceeding involving any type of rule of law, not even just criminal. It can be traffic law. It can be anything involving law, any type of tribunal. And perjury can be committed whether spoken or written. So say if you wrote a false statement to like the DMV or something like that, and you sign swearing to tell the truth and whatnot, that's perjury. But in a criminal case, obviously, if your testimony leads to the execution of an innocent person, what do I think of that? I don't think it's very hard to think. I don't think it's very hard to sum this up in a sentence, but anyone who does that is no different than any cold-blooded murderer, and they're the fucking scum of the earth, and they deserve to be put to death, or they at least, at the very minimum, deserve life with no possibility of parole. Obviously not, because it's literally an act. It's literally premeditated murder. If you cause an innocent person to be executed in the court of law, that is legit premeditated murder, and you deserve literally the worst thing coming to you. Now, perjury procuring the execution of some innocent person also falls under the Old English common law. Perjury procuring the conviction of a so-called grave crime or grave offense. So yes, this is a law that's been in effect for hundreds of years. It's the law in a few states. It's the law in several, jurisdictions around the world, and is punishable by death in most places that retain the death penalty. But are there any published cases of someone being actually executed for perjury causing execution of an innocent person? Like, has any person in existence ever been executed because they caused an innocent person to be executed? The answer is not to my knowledge. And there has for sure been instances where people have surely been convicted and executed for crimes they didn't commit, which is a tragedy, and that never should have happened in the first place. This is why the death penalty needs to be used, and only used in the most slam dunk cases where there's no doubt about the person's guilt. So in instances like that, perjury causing execution is very hard to prove. You'd have to prove the person lied. Perjury as a crime itself is a hard crime to prove. Hence why it's a crime that is generally rare, and it is a rarely talked about crime, especially in the media and so on and so forth. And it would also be very hard to prove because you have to prove in yourself that whether you perjured yourself or suborned someone else to lie for you, you have to prove that that person was innocent in the first place. So yeah, it would be very hard to prove. But let's just hope that that type of law remains an unused law for all given purposes. Because even one person innocent being executed is far too many. Obviously, it is far too many. And it's not good. So that's why the death penalty should only be used in the most exceptionally rare circumstances, and only when there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But as far as perjury causing execution of an innocent person, yeah, they deserve life with no chance of parole or death, depending. Either or I would be fine with, because it's premeditated murder, and as long as the person is spending the rest of their life rotting in prison, that's really all that matters to me. So anyway, thank you all for listening. I'm going to be heading into work in a few minutes, but I just want to take the time to make this episode number 2 of Zach's Legal Lessons, which is a new segment on this channel. I just got straight to the point. I'm glad I got to talk about that today, because it's definitely a topic I wanted to discuss for a while. So this is episode 2 of Zach's Legal Lessons. I'll be back with episode 3 coming soon, and a whole bunch of other stuff in the works. Stay tuned to find out more and more videos on the way. This is Zach, the Celtics guy, saying thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all again soon, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Bye for now. Peace out and have a good day.